What's cracking, everybody's XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're taking a look at an Ultra League team that I was just testing out some new stuff that I built, but actually did pretty well with this team, going on a 7-3 tear in the Ultra League with this team, featuring on the lead our brand new built Malamar. Now, Malamar is a very unique Pokemon, having that dark psychic typing. The superpower foul play is very strong. If you don't have a Malamar, as I know it's an XL Pokemon and not everyone has one, you could use Galarian Moltres, Mandibuzz, Guzzlord, basically your choice of strong dark type Pokemon. In the back, we are using a Shadow Galarian Weezing. If you don't have a Shadow, don't fret. You don't need one. I've just been trying to play around with mine because I've enjoyed using it quite a bit in some side content like the Show 6 formats that are grassroots and things. But the Shadow Galarian Weezing is just an absolute menace. Hits very hard and it's very spammy, and I've wanted to try and use a team with it. And in the back, as our safe swap, we have that is not a Quillfish. That's twice in a row. That's 2 days now. That is a Shadow Drapion we have here. That is not a Quillfish, but it's close enough. It's still a Dark Poison. But anyway, Shadow Drapion in the back, and we're using the Drapion to draw out those pesky Mud Slappers that have been all over the place in the Ultra League. And we're going to get into the battles here, getting into this first game. Malamar versus an Annihilape. I was actually trying to kind of hunt an Annihilape. I played these games not too long after the community day, and I was just kind of taking an opportunity to be like, you know what, if you're playing an Annihilape, I hope we queue up because I would like to beat that Annihilape. So we have the opponent come in with a Drapion. We're able to hit them with a superpower, and they decide not to shield, so I'm going to swap in my own Drapion. As you may have heard on some other content creators who cover battles, like Home Slice Henry is one of the people who I know has said this in his videos. If you want to win Switch and have to deal with a mirror situation, the best thing that you can do is create an HP discrepancy and be able to come in with your Pokemon that would otherwise be the mirror, the mirror Pokemon, right? So in this case, we made an HP discrepancy with the superpower on the Malamar, and then we were going to come in with our own Drapion to absorb that energy. Now, the opponent in this case has the Tentacruel. I'm going to go ahead and come in with my Malamar. We're going to be doing super effective damage with these Psywaves, and because now I've seen their entire team, I know that I can put my Weezing safely on the Annihilape, and we're going to go for a foul play here and look to see if we can't get ourselves a shield or get rid of this and get rid of the Tentacruel. The opponent deciding to shield here. I'm going to let this next move go. I think I might actually be able to farm down from this range. I haven't really been able to test my my Malamar's ability to take hits too well lately, since I have just built it. But Malamar's going to get a full farm down on the Drapion, and we're going to look to flurry off some moves into these Pokemon if they come in here. Depending on what comes in, the Annihilape is what comes in next. I'm going to go ahead and go for the foul play and look to come in with my Weezing at this point. Because my opponent just recently switched out, I should be able to safely get up to a Brutal Swing here before the opponent's able to do their switch timer or get to a move even. As Annihilape now has Rage Fist as its ghost move of choice, most of them will be running something like Close Combat Rage Fist or something like that. You might even see some running Ice Punch Rage Fist, I've also seen. But the opponent tries to make a catch here, but we do end up throwing after we get to 2 Brutal Swings at this point, which is kind of what I was expecting to do anyway. Now my opponent surprises me here and just full sends a Shadow Ball. I was not expecting that, but Brutal Swing is going to be nearly enough after these Fairy Winds, and it's going to be able to take out the opponent's Annihilape. It's going to be a good game. Well played. Getting into the next game here, Malamar on the lead versus Cresselia. This is a pretty good lead, but I also have to be wary that there might be something in the back that I need to bait out, right? Because typically when you have something like Cresselia that is completely walled by steel types, there's a good chance there might be a Mud Slapper in the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap into my Drapion. We're going to draw out a Licky Licky. Opponent so far has absolutely zero respect for steel, and rightfully so. There's not really any steel types in the meta at the moment, which is why this Drapion has been able to cook for me so good. Now, I would say if there's anything on this team that you need to add to your roster, it's Shadow Drapion. Shadow Drapion just genuinely is like one of the best safe switches I have ever put. Like it is easily top 5 of most worthwhile things I've ever spent my Stardust on, if that tells you anything. Now, opponent's going to go off for Body Slams. I was kind of expecting him to have Earthquake, so I shielded. But now that they're just going for Body Slams, I can safely just go for a full Poison Sting farm down. This is one of the things that makes Drapion super problematic for opponents here, is that if you just have energy, you can just go. Now, I went to throw right away there because I wanted to see if I could get my crunch off before what I expected was the opponent's Cresselia coming in with a move loaded. Now, the fact that they came in with the Miltank here is completely fine. We have two Pokemon that do fairly well into this Cresselia. I'm going to come in with my Weezing and just let this go. If they have Future Sight, then so be it, dude. And of course they do, but we don't get knocked out. Future Sight does not one-shot the Shadow Galarian Weezing, and I learned that as of today. Well, as of the day that I played these games. So I'm going to bring in my Malamar now. I'm hoping that maybe they don't have double nukes. And we call the not having the nukes here. I was very lucky. I was expecting to have to take a Moonblast there, but either way, I can still live that move, and then the next Moonblast, I would just shield it if I needed to. But in this case, thankfully, we are going to easily be able to get it to two moves. The opponent's switch clock is up, and they have a lot of energy. I'm thinking there's a pretty solid chance they just throw their nuke move here, and thankfully we call it right. Opponent's going for some more energy, but they do decide to let this go. Now they have the Cresselia, and I just need to make sure that I can outpace to a brutal swing when I come back in with my Weezing and make sure the opponent doesn't get the energy that they need. Now, we are going to swap and try to catch. The opponent needs this farm down, but we have too much HP on the Weezing, and we're able to get to the Brutal Swing thanks to the quick pacing of the newly buffed Brutal Swing. Taking out the Cresselia here. Very well played. Good game of the opponent. Very close. Getting into the next game, we got Shadow Drapion on the lead. This is a very bad lead. The only thing that I can really hope to do is at some point come back in with superpowers. Now, the opponent immediately switches into Gastrodon, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? And this is exactly how I was the opponent today on stream, or yesterday. I'm recording this Thursday night, but if you were hanging out with us on stream, we played Gastrodon in the Ultra League, and it was a fun little trip. So opponent. Oh, we're going to be able to get damage registration. Get this crunch off. Normally, because I'm throwing on 4 there, I shouldn't get this crunch in, but the game just decided to take some pity on me today, and apparently we're just going to be able to get this move in, but that's an inconsistent mechanic. Sometimes you get it in, sometimes you don't. The opponent here is going to hard switch into a Feraligatr and up a shield. This is pretty okay for us, as we have Weezing to pretty much try to deal with the rest of the Drapion, and I'm hoping maybe I can get some energy, wait until the opponent throws their Hydro Cannon maybe right away, and then get into the Weezing here and try to get to a Brutal Swing before they do, but we cap tie them, unfortunately, and I'm going to let this go. I think this is a very risky play, and I don't really have any other way out of this. I did CMP tie in very bad, taste here. I should have over-farmed and tried to get to multiple moves against this Drapion, because that's going to end up being my undoing here, as now I'm forced to shield, and I have to let this go or a shield, and they throw the Body Slam. It might not have even knocked out, but I need this energy against the Drapion in order to have a chance of winning. I'm just going to Hail Mary and Overheat here and see what happens. I don't think there's any way for me to win this game, unfortunately. I don't have enough energy to get to 2 superpowers. The opponent's going to be able to throw their Crunch, and this is just going to knock us out. We could pretty much get as hard countered as one could possibly get, aside from there being double Mud Slap. A good game to the opponent. Next game, we have a pretty interesting blast from the past here. We've got a Walrein on the lead. Malamar does pretty well here because it has superpower, but we do have to be very cautious of the opponent possibly swapping out to try and catch that superpower. Now, they go for the Icicle Spear right away here, and I imagine they were probably just trying to cap tie me on the superpower. I will now throw the superpower, but I usually won't, throw immediately like that unless I really have a good reason to. Opponent's going to go ahead and switch out, and I'm going to go ahead and I tried to catch the Icicle Spear on my Drapion, but the opponent builds up to a potential Earthquake, I think, and I'm going to go ahead and shield. They do throw the Icicle Spear, and now they're only going up to what would just be a couple past an Icicle Spear. I know that I can no-shield this here and continue to just build up energy on my Drapion, and once again, we're just going to let Drapion do Drapion things here. And you will never get me to call it Drapion, even though I know that's supposedly what it's called, but I will never. You will never hear me say it after that. No. So Drapion is going to be able to go for a crunch here. The opponent tries to safe switch in an Ampharos, but we are going to be able to swap back into the Malamar immediately. I'm going to farm up a few Psy Waves in the middle of their second Volt Switch I'll throw, because that's their third total Volt Switch, and since they've come in, the opponent is unwilling to shield, and they come in with a Venusaur. We're playing a very risky team here, in regards to the comp not having a lot of safety in really anything here. Venusaur, very it's very feast or famine in my opinion. We're going to come in with the Wheezing here because we are able to resist the grass type damage. I'm going to go ahead and shield with a Sludge Bomb in case. That would do a lot of damage here. And at that point, we'll just go up to the couple of Brutal Swings. I was expecting my opponent to try and make a switch to catch here, but I overfarm here. I'm just going to go for the Brutal Swing. The opponent decides to shield, and they are at a... They do it. I actually waited the turn, and the game took a little bit longer than I would have wanted it to update, and I wasn't able to see the switch, which has been really frustrating because you're trying to like wait, but the game doesn't update if you're not tapping. So you can never win with this stuff, man. The game is always just broken in some regards or not want to work. But good game to the opponent there. We kind of hard count. You know? Speaking of getting hard countered, we got a Clefable in the lead in the next game. Malamar not really happy to see this, so I'm going to come in immediately with Drapion, and I met with a Shadow Rhyperior. This is all I need. This person's legend. They're just playing nonsense. And yeah, I don't know, man. What do you do about this kind of thing? I mean, like the sensible person in me says, write it off. It's fine. You'll never see this again. But the fact that we have to keep seeing stuff like this, it's like, what point do you just lose all sense of sanity? This is a Shadow Rock Wrecker. I can't let this go. I have to save a shield for Wheezing. I get pretty much knocked out. I take the Mud Slap, and then I have to come in with my Wheezing at this point. Even shields. Opponent has 2 full HP Pokemon at this point, and I just have to hope. And they have a Miltank, so there is hope, but I really don't have much of a chance here. Kind of hoping that maybe they respect the damage of this Overheat and Shield, and then maybe I can land an Overheat. That's about all I got, though, man. This ain't looking good. And I'm going to shield this because I would expect this to be their heavier hitting move in the Ice Beam or Thunderbolt or whatever they're throwing. I'm just going to throw the Hail Mary Overheat here and just see if I can land it. Maybe. The opponent decides to let it go. We might have a chance. The opponent going for a charge move here. Probably a Body Slam or another Ice Beam. Indeed, that Ice Beam does hit quite hard. The Fable's going to come in. I don't even get my move, dude. And I'm just like, you know what? You can have it. You can have it. Great game. Nice alignment trainer. Speaking of nice alignment, we have a Malamar against a Drapion. I need to switch. I'm gonna actually change the way that I play this out. I'm gonna stay in. I'm gonna take a move from the Drapion, and then I'm gonna throw a superpower, and I'm just gonna hope and see if maybe this changes, because the last time we played it this way, I didn't really like the way it went. So we're gonna go ahead and try something different. Going for that superpower, then come in with the Drapion here, and see if we can't build up some energy and. Maybe now that since we've taken some HP off this Drapion, there's a chance that we might be able to do something with this now. But the opponent does come in with a Licky again. They might have Earthquake, so I will have to respect it if they build up to it. And at this point, you can just keep using this energy that we've gotten from the other Drapion staying in as long as they did to just go for crunch after crunch after crunch. Now, here's the tricky part. I have to respect an Earthquake. They just go for Body Slam, dude. And so I'm thinking, okay, there's surely if they go for 3, I will go for, if they go for 2 more rollouts, I'll do a cap tie. Opponent going for multiple rollouts here, and I'm gonna go ahead and swap in Malamar, trying to catch that slam after going for a few more points. Crunch is gonna nearly take me out here. My Malamar hangs on with those nice IVs. It was just like a rank 2 or something. I don't know, man. I don't know what rank this is, but man, I was just like, oh, and now there's a Feraligatr staring at me, and I'm just like, okay, 2 shield Feraligatr, surely this is no. When Drapion's gone, this team is fairly weak to Feraligatr, and this is something that I kind of found out about right through the second set. But fear not, the good results come after this, as long as you don't end up having to stare down a Gator with shield advantage and some energy advantage. Okay, now the opponent is going to shield up a potential play rough here. I would like to just continue going for this energy. The opponent tries to make a catch on the Licky and is unable to do so, but I also have no shields left. I can't get a move off. There's nothing I can do it, unfortunately, at this point. The opponent actually has enough energy for Hydro Cannons here, so I'm pretty much just going to get swept by this Gator. Well played to the opponent, looking to that win condition of just completely murdering me with a Feraligatr, which is always just an effective win con. But the good stuff starts now. We got another terrible lead with Galarian Moltres in the lead. And this is what I'm saying, like, Against most of these terrible leads, like aside from the fairies, Guzzlord would have been a very solid lead for this team to deal with. So opponent is at, I believe, their 7th move, and they decide to shield the Moltres here. They seem to be a bit core broken in the back by the Drapion, because normally you would expect them to want to swap immediately to try and win this matchup, but they come in with a Tentacruel, and I'm like, okay, they don't really seem like they have a strong answer to Poison type, so I'm actually really glad that I drew this. Now the Moltres only went up to 8. I thought that that was enough for just the Ancient Power. If it was enough for Brave Bird, y'all can let me know. I thought it was 9 to the Brave Bird, and I could be wrong. We've seen how much damage a Scald does. We're going to let this one go. I've seen how much it does. I know that this won't knock me out, even come close. No attack drop. Full farm down with the Malamar is just nasty work. The opponent can come in with their Moltres if they want to now, but I can go for double, even triple superpower at this. Be able to get rid of this Moltres. I'm going to build up to the other ones, and I'm going to go ahead and just go for a foul play here. I need to get some chip damage if I can. I'm going to save a move for later. And I also recognize here that my switch clock is up, and I'm going to swap into the Drapion here to get a crunch in. And the opponent's going to have to go for a Hydro Cannon in order to knock me out, but I have Wheezing in the back for the Moltres. As long as I save my shield for my Wheezing and I don't have to end up tanking a move, I think I can just come in with my Malamar, go for this foul play, and that's going to get them pretty low, if not take them out completely. And Wheezing just against the Moltres just is a winning situation here. So we just need to build up to an overheat. If the opponent does get to a move, which they do, I'll let this go, because I know that this Hydro Cannon will not KO. Whereas a Brave Bird, if they get to it, might, but the opponent is going to concede. It's going to be a good game. Well played. Getting back from a nasty, nasty lead. Non-Shadow Golurk in the next game. I discovered something a little bit unfortunate a couple days after I played this team for the first time, and that was Shadow Golurk kind of murders Malamar, not gonna lie. The Shadow Punch does just enough with the Shadow Golurk for these Mud Slaps to knock out in the 2 shield, whereas Malamar can get pretty close to knocking out with the 3rd foul play in the 2s here against Golurk. So this is a very close matchup in the non-Shadow Golurk, but we're going to go ahead and just continue to go for these foul plays here. I need to try and get rid of this thing. This is something I really don't want my backline to have to see, but we are going to be able to get to the foul play. I'm going to shield. This is worth it for me, because if I don't get rid of this here, the opponent may be able to do something about it later. But they are able to catch, even though I thought that was a cap tie. They're able to catch. I'm not able to react in time. I lose my poor Malamar, the superpower that came with it, but we now have an option to come in with the Wheezing. The opponent has fully hard swapped here, and I'm just going to fully farm this down all the way to 0 with these Shadow Fairy Winds. This thing is Wheezing with this much energy. This is going to be a difficult thing for any opponent to overcome. We'll see what they decide to do. They're going to come in with a Licky here. I'm going to go for an overheat. If I wanted to, I could go for a second overheat, but Drapion is also looking pretty good, and I'd make a silly little decision here. What I should have done was I should have simply thrown a Brutal Swing here, and I just came in with my Drapion thinking, I could just get to a crunch. Nope. That was a very suboptimal play on my part looking back on this, and I kind of realized it as soon as I swapped in the Drapion. I'm like, what am I doing? Right? So Galarian Wheezing will definitely win charge attack priority against the opposing Licky. I'm going to go for the Sludge Bomb because it would do slightly more damage. I don't know if I have the move loaded or not, but I'm just going to come in with the Wheezing, get that Fairy Wind. Well played. Getting into the next game, we got a Malamar mirror lead situation here. The opponent and I are going to just go in for Psy Waves, and I'm going to be looking to go for the superpower, but after they throw a move, because I would like them to feel like, then I'll go for my superpower, just in case they decide to go for a superpower. Or what I could do is I could, go for a foul play against something maybe that they bring in, just see what kind of happens. But I like to let my opponent throw first in this matchup, and then I'll come in with my Drapion here. They will throw a superpower. This is fine. I'd like to get Wheezing against this at some point just to try and see what I can do, but there's another Licky. They're everywhere in Ultra League right now. There are so many Lickies. And this is after the Annihilate, Primeape got Rage Fist. This is definitely not pre-Combe. This is current meta stuff. I'm surprised to see this many Lickies, but the opponent now is going to be going for a move here. And we're going to be looking to either take them out with the Drapion, or the opponent could just full send an Earthquake. That's entirely fine. I'm going to get some extra energy here, just a little bit. I don't know exactly how much energy they had. I did kind of lose count. So I'm just going to go for the foul play a little bit early here, get rid of this thing. And then look to go for a superpower against the Malamar if it comes back in. And then get into my Weezing and see if we can make something happen with builds. Now, hopefully, they don't have a poison in the back, as most trainers will end up having a poison in back behind a dark type. Malamar, like this team that we have here. But they go for the foul play. I'm going to fire off this superpower, and then I'm just going to hope that whatever's in the back is going to be doable. We're going to go immediately into the Weezing. The opponent has a Staraptor with Gust. And look at how much damage those Shadow Gusts are doing. My goodness. I need to go and make sure that I'm throwing on odds here. And I get the first shield. We'll go for the next Brutal Swing. And then this should get the second shield, unless the opponent wants to let it go, which at this point, they kind of everything. You should go for the overheat here, but for some reason, and maybe you iPhone users can relate, instead of going for the overheat, my phone thinks it's a good idea to just leave the app. I never tapped anywhere near the little white line on the bottom, but I go for this overheat, and apparently phone's like, exit app. And then by doing so, I actually miss the entire opportunity to go for that overheat. So shame on Apple, I guess. I don't know, but we're gonna go for the superpower here, and my only hope and a prayer here is that somehow I have more than like 7 or 8 HP to get to the superpower, and Malamar with that 1 HP, bro. 1 HP and all of its hopes and dreams in the superpower, taking out the opponent in style. Good game to the opponent. Next game up, we got Malamar on the lead versus a Shadow XehrFelrose. This is a pretty neutral lead for everybody involved here. I'm going to go for just some Psy Waves and go for a foul play here. Opponents are typically going to shield here because we do have a lot of fast move pressure with this Psy Wave. That really helps. And then I'm going to go into my Drapion. If the opponent does decide to overfarm or even farm in general here up to 5 or more, I'm going to shield the next move because it could be a Focus Blast, Zap Cannon. I'm not about to mess around and find out. I am going to shield this up because they did build up to 5. They're just going to throw the Thunder Punch, which also means that if they build back up to 5, I could be in trouble. But they've also double shielded the XehrFelrose, and what that tells me is they may have an answer in the back to my Malamar. So the opponent comes now in with a Golisopod. That was probably, I mean, it might be, I don't know if it was or not, but having that X-Scissor is easily just going to be able to one-shot my Malamar if they can get to it. The opponent, however, not having enough move pressure here to be able to take out Drapion. Drapion's going to be able to overfarm by quite a little bit here. Would like to get close enough, maybe just go for one more before I get to the crunch, because if I can get to one shy of another crunch, if the XehrFelrose comes in, I can go for one Poison Sting and then the crunch into the XehrFelrose, just like that, and take out the XehrFelrose now. As now it's just going to be whatever they have in the back. And this is just Drapion just going on a rampage. The opponent has the Drifblim, and we have the Weezing, we have the Malamar. We are set here for success. Just going to go for a foul play here and chip this thing down into Brutal Swing range, and actually let them throw energy and just swap into Weezing once they've done so. Opponent's going to be looking to go for probably either an Icy Wind, or they have to go for Shadow Ball, honestly, to even think about getting a knockout. Shadow Ball is going to get the knockout here. We can just go for 4 Fairy Winds in the Brutal Swing and take this opponent's Drifblim out of the sky, and that's going to be a good game here. Well played to these opponents. Some very, very meta teams here. This team, I wasn't expecting as good results as I did, but I was able to climb back over expert elo range with it, so it may very well prove to be effective. Again, there's alternatives to things here, but I would say that Shadow Drapion is a must because there's so very little things in this meta that completely counter it. It's just such a free swap and is able to get a lot of good advantage. But that's going to do it for me for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.